Hello and welcome to Whisky Resource. My name is Mark. This is review number 84 and 84B. So today I'm going to be quickly reviewing two whiskies. They're the same whisky but two variations. So it's going to be the Glenfarclas 12-year-old. So this is a little bit of a run of reviews I'm going to be doing in the lead up to Christmas for whiskies that I would actually recommend that if people are looking to get a gift for a whiskey lover, or somebody who is maybe looking to taste different whiskies or get into whiskey even. These are whiskies that I'd recommend. So the first one is the Glenfarclas 12-year-old. So this is a 1 litre bottle that I picked up. I actually bought this from mainland Europe and had it shipped over with a few other bottles I bought, simply because it worked out cheaper. So on that subject, price. A typical 700ml bottle of Glenfarclas 12-year-old retails for £39.95. Now, as a comparison, this 1 litre bottle that came from Europe, you see there's no UK duty label on it because it was purchased, I think it was the Netherlands, and it was shipped across under EU personal consumption laws. I think I paid £30 for it. And when you combine the postage for the few bottles I bought, it worked out to be probably about £33-34 for that bottle. Compare that with £39.95. You can see why I bought it from Europe. Sadly, because we're leaving Europe in a month or so, I don't know what's going to happen to the prices in terms of shipping to the UK and duty and that kind of stuff. But right now, buy from Europe if you find that you're going to save a few pounds. So, Glenfarclas 12-year-old, it's bottled at 43% ABV. It is natural colour, and it says so on the bottle. Natural colour, just at the top there. We believe it to be non-chill filtered. However, they don't actually say on any of their bottles or on the lovely blue carton that they send you here. They don't mention it on their website, but it's commonly known that they don't chill filter, but they do barrier filter to a certain degree. So we deduct a few points off that for the value score, which is available on the website. It is a sherry matured single malt whiskey from the Highland. On the bottle there, they call it Highland whiskey. It is Speyside, so it does fall under the Speyside bracket, because they also mention on the label there, if you can read that, Speyside. So it is the Speyside region, but they like to call it Highland. I think the Macallan, again, they are region Speyside, but they call themselves Highland whiskey. What else to say about it? It comes in a variety of sizes. You can pick up the 12-year-old in 50ml miniature, a 350, a half size bottle, 700ml bottle, and the litre bottle that I've got here. Of course, Glenfarclas is a family run distillery owned by J&G Grant and Son. They're family owned. Natural cork, and I say it's 43% ABV. So this is a two-part review. There's two whiskies I'm going to be reviewing here. The second one is an independent bottling of Glenfarclas. It's this one here. It's the 12-year-old Drinks by the Dram Cask Strength, provided by Master of Malt. This retails for £59.95. It's bottled at 58.7% ABV. Again, it is natural colour. They say so on the label. Notice the bottle is the same bottle design that they use. The labelling is all the same except for the Drinks by the Dram on this one. So it is bottled by Glenfarclas, but for Drinks by the Dram. So as such, it isn't necessarily an independent bottle, but it's been bottled for a specific purpose. So a cask strength version of the 12-year-old. So that's the side-by-side comparisons I'm going to be making. So I better get some drams poured here. Now, earlier on, I actually poured a measure of the cask strength, and I diluted it down to 43% ABV. That's already there. It's been sitting for a little while, because I'm going to make a comparison between the two drinks to see whether or not they are the same. Now, of course, batch variation. The 12-year-old that I've got here at 43%, I don't know when it was actually distilled. It could have been in a completely different batch. It certainly would have come from different casks. I don't know if there's any way to tell. There's a number on the back here, G5538A. I don't know what that references. That's probably the batch number, maybe. Don't know. Does this one have? It does. It has G20221. And I've noticed a little bit of cask sediment there in the cask strength version. Anyway, the Drinks by the Dram, $59.95 is the price you pay for that. It's cask strength version. Spoilers. The 105, which is slightly higher ABV at 60%, is just as good as the 12-year-old. And you can pick the 105 up cheaper. Typically it's about £10, £15 if you can get it cheaper. Again, on Europe, you can pick up a litre version of the 105, currently cheaper. It's under 40 quid for a litre version of the 105. So go ahead and knock your socks off. So this is the 43% ABV 12-year-old Glenfarclas. As I say, it's a sherry matured whiskey. So on the nose, it is typical fruity, sweet sherry whiskey. I like the 105 because it's such a strong cask strength, indulgent sherry bomb. I would equally like the rest of the Glenfarclas range, and I don't hide the fact that it's one of the distilleries I love to drink, because whilst they're sherried, I find they're not overly sherried compared to other whiskies that are sherried, and as such you get a little bit more of the distillate coming through. It's not all overruled by sherry, but on the nose it's fruity. You can tell the sherry's there, but likewise you can also get the oak, and there's vanilla, and there's spiciness coming through. There's a lovely sweetness. It is a wonderful nose. Very nice. Compare that to the 12-year-old cask strength from Drinks by the Dram. It is just more meaty. There's more of that fruit intensity coming through. You can tell it's a concentrated version of the same dram. The diluted version of the 12-year-old 43%. Well, if we compare the colours, you can't really compare them, because one has come from a cask strength bottle, possibly a different batch. Natural colours, we know the colours aren't always going to be the same. The cask strength diluted has a bit more mustiness to it, and I don't know whether that's because it's just sat a little bit longer with the water in and it's released some of those oils. But the Drinks by the Dram version is slightly nicer on the nose. On the palate, it's fruity. The alcohol nips straight away. It's spicy. There's vanilla, there's dark fruits, there's oak, a bit of honey sweetness coming through, juicy plump raisins soaked in brandy, cherries. It's what you'd expect from a sherried whiskey. It's lovely, absolutely lovely. I haven't actually got any water up here to taste to correct my palate, but this is the cask strength version, which we'll come back to in a moment. So I'm going to go to now is I'm going to go to the watered version of the cask strength and see how it compares to the 43% ABV version of the 12-year-old. Notice there's no Scotch mist. The heating's just been on in the house. The room's warm. I don't know if that's had any influence on it, but as I say, it's probably it's been a barrier filter as far as we're aware, which probably reduces any Scotch mist that you'd get. But on the palate, it does come across hotter. I've worked out the water that I've added in, and it comes to 43%. So it's maybe perception, but it seems meatier, more syrupy on the mouth, definitely more musty with the flavours. The regular 43% of the 12-year-old just seems a bit more well balanced, more harmonious, less edgy. The Cask Strength version diluted is definitely more concentrated. There's definitely more going on there. It's probably needing time in the glass, further time to actually open up. It's been about half an hour that I put the water in. It's definitely more like the Cask Strength, undiluted in its flavour. You could probably put more water into that to dilute it down further. But you can't get away from the fact that the 43% 12-year-old, it's actually, I prefer it to the Cask Strength that's been diluted. I wouldn't dilute the Cask Strength personally. I would have it neat and sip it slower, let it open up over a period of time and let it adjust. I don't see the point having a 12-year-old Cask Strength and putting water in when you can have the normal 12-year-old. I don't think it benefits from it. Onto the Cask Strength then, with no dilution. As I say, it's musty, it's deep, darker fruits, more concentrated, but on the palate, alcohol burn, nipping away. It's concentrated, musty, dark fruits, as I say. A little bit of vanilla going on there, a little bit of caramel, oak, spicy. You're talking typical Christmas cake spices. This isn't as tense as maybe an Edredor could be, a Cask Strength, or the Deanston, the signatory Deanston that the Whisky Exchange are doing at the moment is 66.6. That's a more voluptuous sherry fest than this 12-year-old Cask Strength is, which is slightly down on the 105, but pound for pound, the 105 is better, but it's close. It's close. The 105 is better, even though there's no age statement with it. So what do Master of Malt say? Well, they've said that it's got a nose of rum-soaked raisins, good old sherry, hints of buttered crumpet and malt loaf underneath. I'm not necessarily getting the malt. I am getting some youthful alcohol notes off it, but wrapped with that lovely sherryness. On the palate, they say it's brioche, fried banana, raisins and chocolate, hint of rancho, and finish of Nutella, white pepper, clove and damson. Dabs and jam. Just a bloody good whiskey, be it the regular 43% ABV, which, even though it's followed the Cask Strength, it's just, it continues. You can see there's a signature, there's a relationship between the two in the flavours, because it's the same whiskey, different strengths. I'm going on a bit. This is 15 minutes in, but hopefully you can see that I adore the Glenfarclas range, and the 12-year-old would be very much on my list of whiskies to purchase as Christmas gifts for somebody, or even for yourself. And then you've got the cask strength version of it, which you can pick up on Drinks Dry, the Dram, for a little bit more money. I will be buying another version of the Farclas 12-year-old. I'll always have a bottle of that in my collection. It is a fantastic whiskey. I've reviewed the 8-year-old and the 10-year-old from Glenfarclas previously, and it will come as no surprise that the 12-year-old gets a higher score than both of those. That's it, really. That's all I've got to say. Highly recommend Glenfarclas 12-year-old for people who like sherry influenced whiskey, but don't want a whiskey that's too sherried, want to get a bit more oak coming through, a bit more of the signature still style of the distillery coming through. I think the Farclas 12-year-old is a great, underrated member of the Farclas family. At some point I'll review the 15-year-old. Maybe I'll review it as before a Christmas drink, because it is something that you'd probably pick up as a Christmas drink. But for now, just for watching.